Hello, and welcome back to Sharing a Chapter a Day. This is Dara, me, and I will be reading Chapter 15 of Engagement in Peril by Dara Odoe. Chapter 15 is titled Grade School and Extended Family. In the fall of 1986, I started third grade. My new teacher was Mrs. Fisher. She had blonde hair, brown eyes, and stood about 70 inches. Billy then and Peter were my close good friends now. They were in second grade with me as well, in Miss Becca's class, where Billy and I had a crush on the same brunette cutie. Her name was Veronica now. Veronica was such a lovely little girl then, with long, wavy brunette hair, brown eye, and such cute dimples. There were other young cuties then. Cindy was one of our favorite crushes also. She had curly blonde hair with blue eyes. Both Cindy and Veronica were good friends of ours. Then again, we were all 8 or 9 years old then. What kind of crush can one have then? And was I that deviant then, as a mere child who has gotten through so much since my birth during the turmoil time back in Cambodia? I remember an incident that happened to me during this chilly winter. It occurred at school during recess time. My friends and I were playing outside on the slippery frozen blacktop, where we weren't supposed to, and we were warned not to play on the black ice by our teachers and administrator. We would slide on frozen ice that was left behind by the snowstorm during one of many trials. During one of my many tries, I slid on the black ice, and my legs swung upward, leaving my body behind in mid-air, where I then landed on the back of my head, and the next thing I remember was waking up in the school's nurse office from my stupid unconscious state. The school nurse said I had gotten knocked out from the fall and had a bump on the back of my head. A phone call was made home to inform my family of my ignorant accident and injury. I was picked up shortly after by my mother and taken home for the rest of the school day. Once home, Mom gave me a yelling and demanded that I don't ever do that sort of thing again. Of course she was worried. While I was in the third grade, my sister had started middle school, and it was just my cousin and I now. But we all still studied together after school at our home on Lansing Street. By this time, Mother had received her driver license. Uncle had taught her the rules of the road and how to drive weeks earlier. He's a pretty good instructor and a pleasant mentor, and although they weren't related by blood, he was a terrific big brother toward my mother then. Later that year, toward the end of the fall season, Mother's sister, brother, and I moved to a house that was only about a block north of Montview Elementary. We have now moved into 2265 Moline Street, Aurora, Colorado, 80010. But Uncle and his immediate family stayed at the Lansing Street house because we needed more room for my mom's boyfriend, soon-to-be husband, and his other family. Once he reached the estate, and his family just arrived from the same refugee encampment where we were at a year and a half ago in the Philippines. They too were refugees, living in the camps like us. Mother had met him in one of the camps that we were in prison at, and she had asked the church to help sponsor him and his family to the States as well. Our new place of residence was off Moline Street in the corner of 23rd Avenue. This new home that we had moved into had a large cross on the front door. We didn't know the house was haunted until we lived there for several months. Mother told us that she was awakened one night by a noise in the kitchen. When she went to investigate the ruckus, she saw a teenage girl washing her baby in the kitchen sink. Then in Khmer, Mother asked her what she was doing, and all of a sudden the ghostly figure rushed forward, dropping her baby into the sink, and began to attack my mother with her spiritual anger and demonic woes. The infant that she was bathing faded away, and Mother was struggling with the ghost for a short while until some prayers and wishes upon her ancestor helped to get rid of the mean spirit. We stayed at the house for about another year or so. There was some other disturbance, but not enough to scare us out of the home. Mother taught her her new husband how to drive, and Uncle helped him and several of his siblings to find jobs. Uncle did all he could for all of us, no matter how much effort he had to give. He was such a wonderful person then. So giving and so selfish. As the year went by, my immediate family had two new members. They were my younger sister, Somali and Bopat Devi, who are now grown women with promising career. We didn't stay in the haunted house too long. A few months later, another family moved into the home with us. They too were refugees and stayed in the basement, which my uncle constructed 2 extra rooms downstairs. Several months down the road, my immediate family moved that summer away from the haunted house to Denver. My family and my mom's boyfriend family lived together in our new home, but I always saw Uncle and his family on Sunday and church services. And sometimes he'd come over and visit us at our home, and regularly I would sleep over on the weekend at his place, hanging out with my cousins, but mostly alongside my uncle, going on fishing trips and sporting events together. My family moved quite a bit that year, from Denver to Aurora and back to Denver. Once back to Aurora, we live in the Montbello area as well, in a small community with another family, and a 2-story home, where we reside in the bottom level. It was then that I had to take a school bus to school, because it was quite a long distance from our home. I was attending McClone Elementary School then, during the 4th grade school year. The school was situated off of Crown Boulevard and Albrook Drive, a few blocks from the Montbello Civic Center. Montbello now is inhabited by many minority families. Most students are bused and elsewhere throughout the West Denver area. One day I missed the school bus because I woke up late and wanted to go to school anyhow. And I, being independent ever since that I could ever remember, didn't want to bother Mother to drive me to school, so I ran to school on my own. On my way to school, I was being chased by dogs. The chase from the 4-legged fiend got me to scamper to school faster. I zoomed toward my school and all exhausted and panting. I checked myself into the front office and got an excuse to enter my classroom for being late. I went to my assigned classroom, all tired, and smiled when I found my seat up front in the last row by the classroom window. That school year at McClone, I met Andre, who had a cute curly-haired girlfriend named Tiffany. She had short curly brunette hair. She was taller than Andre and me, and she was quite the cutie. Andre and Tiffany were very close, closer than any kid had ever been in 4th grade. Andre lived in a single-parent home where it was only he and his father. During my visit and hangout at Andre's home, his dad would leave out his adult magazine, books, pornos, pictures, and tape lying around the house. And when he wasn't home, Andre would show them to me whenever I came over to his house to visit and hang out. Curiously, we looked over all the pornographic pictures and items and talked about this and that. We were in awe of the large memory that these buxom lady had to offer. We would laugh and snicker about like it was young ignorant boys often do. It was weird one day at school. Tiffany had come to school all exhausted and with a glow that we never saw before. We weren't sure what they were up to. They sort of reached 3rd base, I think, on the makeout scale, I guess. Tiffany had these red bruises on her neck and shoulder, and Andre had several red marks on his neck as well. And the rest of us teased him about it throughout the day. I guess Andre and Tiffany started necking and such. We weren't so innocent anymore then. This could have been the beginning of this bastard you have come to know. Sometime during that spring of 1987, several of the classes at our school had a talent show contest. Several of our classroom students performed or act out skits, dances, and such. And one enjoyable thing that I remember was that the couple of girls performed and danced to Madonna's song, "You're My Lucky Star." They even dressed up like Madonna then, in their cut-out gloves and lace strings atop tight aerobic one-piece. Their performance was pretty good then. They seemed to have been practicing before their this actual performance, they had copied all of Madonna's dance move, which they have probably seen on MTV. Besides enjoying the life being a fourth grader and having very little worries in the world, I missed much of school and classes that year because I had often had to go to the dentist for required checkup and such. During my mini visit to the dentist that spring, I had my teeth drilled, cleaned, removed, and sometime capped. The good thing about going to the dentist was all the time was that a blue city government van would come to my house, pick me up, and drive me to Denver County Dental Clinic. But the bad thing was that I had to miss so much school that year. But I managed to keep up with my grades and schoolwork and did well in all my studies. I had to do extra work to keep up, and I didn't really mind that extra work at all. Some activity I often did and played during school recess and break, I usually played foursquare, tatterball on a pole attached to top of blacktop, and kickball on the grassy field alongside friends, classmates, and rival from neighboring classrooms and grade level. We were quite competitive then, a bunch of energetic young children running around and running about, beating and talking smack and talking shit of and to each other. It was our competitive spirit. While living there in a two-story home in Montbello area, my mom's little brother, Dang Sok van Petersburg, had found and came to visit us from Belgium. Dang was my uncle that helped my mom and her family find my sister during the Khmer Rouge uprising, while we were running around looking for her back in the late 70s. He was now in his mid-20s or so and slim in stature but very bright in mind. He looked so much like my mother. They could be identical. They both had the same facial structure and same complexion. Without a doubt, you know they were related if you were to see and meet them at the same time. Uncle Dang's a good man. Uncle Dang has found us through mail and such and came to stay with us for several weeks while on his visit. He shared the room that my brother and I were staying in. While I was away at school and such, Mother would drive Uncle Dang and my younger brother around town and take him to various places to sightsee and visit throughout the Denver, Aurora area. They were giving him a tour of the vast city. They went to the Denver Zoo, to the park, to the Botanical Garden, several blocks from the Capitol building off Colfax Avenue and Grant Street, and seeing the downtown area. Uncle Dang looked so familiar to Mother. They both had the same facial structure and skin tone. After all, they were After all, that was her younger brother, and they were both from the same two parents. He spoke several languages fluently then. Having been raised in Belgium and Europe, he spoke Khmer, Dutch, Flemish, French, and a little bit of English, mainly small conversational phrases and such. He's a terrific uncle, and we all miss him dearly when he left and went back to his home in Belgium, where he stayed with my mom's older sister, Hong, and the rest of their family. Before departing, he reminded me to take care of my mother and sibling, and that when I'm older, I should come and visit him in Europe and Belgium. I smilingly agreed and promised him that I would just do that in the future. And I have. I visited him there in Belgium. Visited him and his family several years back. As you may have read from Shin Shinigami, The Bastard Torn, and The Succubus They Slept With, Volume 3, my previous two published writing. After school had ended during my 4th grade year, once again, like clockwork, we moved back to Denver, to the downtown area this time. Somewhere off of 17th and Downing Street. The place was once a 5-story apartment building. It is now a private medical facility. While living there, I attended Columbine Elementary off of 29th Avenue and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard for several months until we once again moved westward. I spent the summer fishing with Uncle and his family and doing other outdoor sports and activity. We would take camping trips into the Colorado mountains and Nebraska flatland area. Uncle took all of us to Nebraska. While there, we camped alongside a river, setting out our tents and perishable goods several feet away from the running stream. The kid would spend the day playing in the river, swimming and catching little reptiles and such, while the men would be busy putting out fishing nets along the edge of the running water. and also fish to catch food to go with the rest of our feast for the night, and the rest of the time spent there in Nebraska camping out. Funny to us children at the time, while in their underwear putting out the fishing nets and such, the adult men were stopped by a park ranger and ticketed for being in their underwear in public, cited for public indecency, I guess. And we all had a good laugh from their ordeal with the law. They had to pay some fine later on for their sneaky way of fishing. We would eat what we caught each night. While there, the fishes were prepared by the women who added spice and herb to give the meat a good flavor. At dinner time, we would eat the fish and other meats and vegetables with rice and rolls and French breads and such. The elders caught plenty of fish that first day there. I helped with some of the fishing and also caught my fair share. But I usually played in the water with the rest of the kids, making sure they didn't go too deep in the river. We caught frogs and tadpole and gave them names. We eventually let them go after we left the campground. The 3 days and 2 nights out camping was really great, and quite festive for all of us there. We all enjoyed ourselves, and we all glad we went. We went camping during that summer months. It's something I can go back to now and then in my thoughts and mind as I meander in my own filth and solitude of being a sodomite with few attributions to look forward to these last few years of my once happy life. While at home and heading out with my cousin, we would make butterfly nets out of used marble bags and pantyhose and go catch butterflies, bees, hornets, and various insects. I was such a good trapper. I would catch plenty of insects and give some to my younger sibling and kin who weren't as fortunate as me to catch any. We sometimes put the bugs in a glass jar where we punctured several holes in the tin caps so the insects would be able to breathe, and we would just spend hours staring at them through the clear jar and talk about how they looked and acted. We also caught June bugs and tied a string to one of its wings and watched it fly in a circle. After we were tired of playing with the bugs, we would then release them and thank them for being an inconvenience to them. And then we would let them go and wish them well on their journey forward. Our family and friends did a lot of outdoor activity then. We enjoyed ourselves in nature's many splendors. It was so much fun then, as a young child. Thank you for listening. This is the end of chapter 15. Be on the lookout for chapter 16, titled The Next Move. Until next time, this is Do, Ra, Mi, and I'll see you later. Thank you.